Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks of Gaming and a new video, a new series on the channel, which is leveling a Deadeye Tornado Shot character in SSF. And the idea is fairly simple. I just want to push the character as far as I can, at least get all 4 pinnacle bosses down, get my Atlas completed, and if possible, try and do an Uber boss. Now, this is going to be quite a long series as I'm going to need to farm things like Omniscience, Legion Jewels, lots of Harvest, Expedition, Syndicate, tons and tons of things to get the gear that I'd normally just buy and trade with whatever currency I made from my mapping strategy. Obviously in SSF, that's not an option. So this is quite a new thing for me. I have done lots of SSF runs before, but I normally just do it to maybe get the Atlas clear or get the first 2 pinnacle bosses down. I haven't done a proper SSF series for quite a few leagues, so I'm really looking forward to it. So I've just finished the campaign. So the video itself is going to cover the following topics. It's going to go through how I leveled, mechanics and things that I concentrated on, and the differences to leveling in SSF than how I would do it in trade, and then my plans for early maps in terms of Atlas. So let's start with leveling. So I decided to level with Rain of Arrows as it works really well straight out the box and it doesn't need things like chain or arrows from the Ascendancy. If you are interested in how I leveled, check out the linked guide for the Rain of Arrows Raider. This is what I leveled at League Start. It was super smooth. The only difference this time is that I'm not going Raider, I'm just going Deadeye straight away. Mainly because I don't want to have to grind all of the regrets to respec. So I did start as Deadeye. If you don't mind respecing a bit later and spending the regrets, Raider is definitely better for this skill. You get loads and loads of stuff out of the box with Raider in terms of ailment avoidance, you get exposure, you get spell suppression, frenzy charges, you get tons and tons of good stuff as a Raider. However, this time as it's not trade, it's SSF, I don't need to be quick. There's no need to rush to maps. I can do it all on my own time. So I decided just to go Deadeye. And then due to that, I thought I'd actually spend a lot more time leveling than I usually would. I spent some time doing Sanctum to the point where I got a full run in Act 10 and killed the first form of Lycia. I've done Syndicate in Foothills to try and get Elrion unlocked because it took me an absolute age to get the minus mana cost craft last league. I think it was, well, I pretty much cleared my Atlas before he finally dropped a ring for me. So I thought I'd get a head start and at least get him out of the leadership position in research so that I can start farming him when I get to maps. I also decided to do some expedition encounters, basically all of the ones I come across, and it paid off massively. If we have a look at my character, I'll just show you the bow and quiver that Rog left me in Act 9. So we've got this bow here, which is about 700 LE DPS, and I had this, in Act 9. I had a bow nowhere near this good in my trade account when I got to maps, and I couldn't buy anything this good because it didn't have the currency. So I got really lucky with that craft. And then Rog also gave me a very decent quiver. It's big lightning damage, big prod speed, big damage of bows, and 2 huge resistances. So these 2 items will do me easily into red maps, which I'm really happy with. I won't go through the rest of the gear. The rest of the gear is trash. But those 2 items alone should carry me quite a long way in the playthrough. So for a TLDR on leveling, you just take precise technique, point blank, and then a mastery that makes projectile speed add damage as well. And you breeze through leveling. It's super easy. You just look out for upgraded elemental damage bows and just keep ensuring your accuracy is above your life. Now, you will be fairly low life as a raider. You don't really want to go getting life early on because it's damage that's going to get you through the campaign easier. So you might take the odd death, but don't let it discourage you. It is a really smooth leveling process. And then you just basically, your ideal falling is going to be something like Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, then either LE damage or added cold, and then Trinity if you can proc it. I'm also running a Artillery Ballista with any basically damage links I could find. I haven't got an ideal setup. It's just basically whatever fall link dropped. If I could fit some sort of Artillery Ballista in there, then that's what I did. So at the moment, it's Artillery Ballista, Focus Ballista, added cold, and then Inspiration. Now, I was going to do a lot of Heist, but in the end, I just didn't like it as a Deadeye. As a Raider, Heist feels really good because you get Onslaught, Frenzy Charges, phasing. You just get everything you need to do Heist, and it feels really good. With the Deadeye, with just Tailwind, it didn't feel amazing, so I maybe did 4 to 5 contracts to get, a bit of Chaos, maybe a couple of Varlobs, and I just wasn't enjoying it at all, so I abandoned it. The reason for doing loads and loads of the lead mechanic is I want a 5 link as soon as possible, and the easiest and safest way to do that is bench crafting. So once I've unlocked the recipe, my plan is to have enough fusings to be able to do that. We'll go over my stash tab at the end of the video just to show where I am at the moment. But leveling, as you can see, I've taken a very different approach than I would with trade. In trade, I basically, if my character can get through the campaign, that's all I want. I don't care if he struggles a little bit, as long as it's quick and I can get through the campaign and come out of it with like 20 to 30 chaos from heist. Then that allows me to buy a 5-link. It allows me to buy a decent bow and a decent quiver. And then I can just, off I go on a map and I can get through the tiers and just keep buying upgrades when I've unlocked essences. Obviously in SSF I can't do that, which is why I spent a lot more time leveling, because there's no point rushing on a 4-link when I might get to like tier 7 maps and just be totally stuck and taking ages to clear the maps. And with the 2 items that Rog has blessed me with, I should be able to push yellow maps really, really easy, especially once I can pick up a 5-link. In terms of tornado shot, I'm probably not going to try and transition to the 6-link. I will test the waters when I get a 5-link to see what it feels like, but I have a feeling it's going to be quite bad. I'd like to get some more projectile speed and certainly some more attack speed for tornado shot to feel good. In terms of labs, I've only completed 1 so far, as I don't really add anything to Rain of Arrows and I just didn't feel like doing them at the time. I thought I might as well wait till I'm into maps and I've got a much more stacked character, and then I can just go and breeze through both of the labs without worrying about failing and wasting time. In terms of the campaign, I'm quite fed up with the campaign. I did a lot of fresh characters last league and I still seem to be burnt out from it today. And that's the reason I decided to throw in all the different mechanics, because it keeps things a bit more interesting. Yes, it's going to take me like 2 to 3 hours more to get through the campaign, but I'm going to leave the campaign with a much better character, some decent currency, and I don't feel like it's as much of a chore when I'm just trying to get through the campaign as quickly as I can. And then the last thing to cover off in this quick intro video are my plans for the Atlas. So I've completed my first map. In trade, what I would normally do is just beeline to essences. I would essentially get every single essence node that I could, and I would just path the quickest way to get them all, and then I would just farm white maps to get essences, sell them, that then gets me my loot, and then I can focus on map progression and whatever other mechanic I want to. In SSF, essences are good, but to me there's something you add at the end when you want to start crafting some endgame gear, because you do really need all of the nodes for it to be worthwhile. Like, there's no point just adding an essence into each of your maps when all you're going to get is like 1 weeping essence or 1 wailing essence every time you go into a map. I think, considering how Rog's treated me in the campaign, it seems silly not to do Expedition, and I want to get Elrion Unveil as quickly as possible and the Frenzy Quivercraft. So we're going to go Syndicate and I'm going to go Expedition. So the first few nodes are going to be these Syndicate nodes here, and then there's also Expedition here, which gives us a pretty good chance to get Expedition into the map. So it's 4%, 4% and 12% along with the base. That's 1 in 3 maps pretty much we're going to get Expedition. Then we'll just come up here and then we'll go and get the Expedition nodes here. So that's kind of my plan for the very start. And then we'll go and get a couple of map nodes and get as many connecting ones as we can. But I'm not that bothered about map progression at the moment. I just want to get my character into a decent state. Now, the idea with this series is to bring out fairly regular videos, because I don't want to bring out one video like this one to say I've just done the campaign and then another one to say I'm into red maps. I want to bring them out really probably every day, every other day, when I've maybe only played a few hours, just so I can explain really in depth how I'm approaching things, what sort of things I'm looking to do, and how I plan to progress like further and further. I will try and stream. It's not a promise, because every time I say I'm going to stream, I just don't find the time to do it. But I am going to try and stream at least once a week, and when I do, it's going to be on this SSF character. I've included a POB for the character as it is, but there's no like leveling trees and skill selections and things like that, because it's all covered in my League Start guide, which I've linked in the video description. So if you've not leveled a bow character before, I'd recommend checking out that guide. It's definitely a really, really good way to level bow characters. So before I sign off, I thought I'd just go through my stash tab, very quickly show you the tree, just show you kind of the state the build is in at the moment. So the character is level 73. Like I said, I spent 2 to 3 hours longer than I would in any trade playthrough, because there was no need to get to maps really, really quickly. And in that time, I've got 26 chaos, a nice supply of outs ready to go, which is going to help for getting my yellow map progression done. 10 Varlobs already, and those should be added even more to by the time we get to red maps. Decent amount of scours again for re-rolling mods that I can't do, and the fusings are getting in a nice position as well. So we can obviously trade these in for sort of about 30 fusings. So we're already well on the way to a 5-link. We probably will get one drop naturally anyway, and these can then go towards the 6-link. Obviously no exotic currency yet because I haven't started mapping. And if I quickly go and show you my expedition locker. We've got a few reroll currencies and, yeah, a very, very small smattering of normal currencies. But hopefully early on in maps, we're going to start really, really turning over Expedition, get some Rog crafting done, get some Tusion currencies done. If we get lucky, get a couple of low-level logbooks would be really nice. So then in terms of the skill tree, like I said, it's very similar to my Reign of Ours Raider, except we have to take these Onslaught nodes because we don't get it as part of the Ascendancy. So yeah, it's essentially damage, Onslaught. We've got all the spell suppression nodes along with the spell suppression mastery, so I should be spell suppression capped or thereabouts. This one that adds 10% when you're on full life might mean I'm only like 92, 93, but that's good enough for this stage of the playthrough. Yeah, so that's what the tree looks like. But as I say, if you do want to level, there's a full guide on the channel anyway. Still only one lab done, like I mentioned. I'll go and do the other two shortly. And the idea for me, yeah, is just get some map progression done, get some expedition done, get some gear to hopefully be able to switch to Tornado Shot nice and early, because I do enjoy it more than Rain of Arrows. Even if it's a little bit more of a struggle, I do want to get that swap done as soon as possible. So it's a very short episode, this one. It was really just to introduce the series, and I wanted to get through the campaign because I don't think people are interested in me doing a 2-part video of a campaign when I've done like full runs and stuff before in the past. So yeah, that wraps up the intro video. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Hope you enjoyed the series. Take care and see you in the next one.